Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of the movie Jaws. And I really enjoyed this. I have seen this throughout the years, kind of in bits and pieces, but I was able to actually sit down and watch it, and I really, really liked it. I think it's one of those quintessential movies. Like, if you were asked by an alien to be like, what is a movie? And it's like, you show them this. And that's even not going. There's some movies that I love just because of what goes on in them, but I don't consider them perfect. And then there's certain movies like this that just executes things so well, and it's still not in like ones that I love that I'm like into completely and would be like, yay! But it's one of those ones that I would still sit down and watch because of what it does. It's able to get into the understanding of the community, the characters, the world building of what's going on with the shark and everything. I understand that there's a lot of issues with the mechanical shark, but I think it worked out in their favor because then you get the reveal at the end of the shark in like the final battles that we get, and it's much more effective. We actually see the craziness that goes on with overusing the shark a little bit too much in the second one. And of course, we will get to that. I double featured this, and it's like, hey, and then, oh, fuck, because that was another one that I would see certain kind of parts. I'm like, oh, I see the shark getting like its ass beat, and it's like, oh, okay, but when you watch everything else up, you're like, what the fuck was going on here? So, this one came out in 1975. Steven Spielberg directed it, and it's based on the 1974 novel by Peter Benchley. And we've got Richard Dreyfuss. We've got Robert Shaw. Let's see. Wikipedia's changed up its shit. Yeah, Roy Scheider? Yeah, as Chief Martin Brody. And everybody does a pretty good job here. They are pretty believable in what goes on. And the shark kind of tends to go into slasher kind of territory, but not as much as like it gets into in the second one. It still's like, okay, it's acting like under what we had known about sharks at that time. And it definitely makes sense. Like Spielberg made this. It's like, I don't want to make another shark movie. He pretty much made the best kind of shark movie here. Serious kind of shark movie. Then you've got your Sharknadoes and shit, which is like, I'm gonna go batshit. And that's a whole other ball game that you have to judge on its own different kind of merits. It's like, what the fuck? And, oh, what the fuck? So, we see some teenagers starting off, and they're at this party on the beach, and we see this one drunk dude getting together with this other girl, and they go off and they just go to skinny dip and everything. So she's going in. He pretty much conks the fuck out because he's too drunk and he just falls asleep on the beach. She's just swimming and everything, but then we get it. We get John Williams doing the score. It's like dun dun. It's classic and iconic. The music sells the dread. It's so much so that like even if you've never seen the movie before, you know the fucking theme of the movie because of how iconic it is and how it's been utilized. So we see her swimming, and then boom, and it's effective. They know what they're doing here. It's not that she gets taken down, just like boom, and you're like, what the fuck's going on? She gets bam, bam, and it's kind of like how a shark would do it, because a shark's like, when you look at a shark, the biggest thing it's got is its mouth. So what is it going to do to touch and see if something's edible? It's going to fucking bite it. And if it finds it worth it, they're going to then eat the fucking thing. So we see it taking her. Now, of course, this goes a little bit more into the dramatic realm, but seeing her getting dragged back and forth, hitting onto a buoy before getting taken under, is like, holy fucking shit. What the fuck, man? So that is our kind of slow and crazy introduction that we get into it. Then we're understanding what's kind of going on with Amity Island. Let's see. And we're introduced to Brody, his wife, and his two sons. Thing is, there's like the time difference between this movie and the next movie is about like 4 years. But it's like, how the fuck did that kid get into high school that fast? It's like, because he looks kind of young here. I'd say 10 at most. But evidently he's like older than that. But we see that they've moved from New York. This is supposed to be a little bit better. He's a little bit leery of the water because of certain kind of past kind of trauma or whatnot. But we see that the kids are loving it and trying to kind of figure out what's kind of going on in the town, dealing with all of the little kind of bits. And the thing is, we see that certain neighbors are trying to get Brody to do certain kind of things about other neighbors, about other things kind of going on, small kind of town things kind of happening. And it's like, okay. And this becomes important because these are what they consider their big problems for their chief of police to deal with. What happens when there's an actually big problem that occurs and they have something that can even more negatively affect them if they take a course of action? We see that going on. So they're trying to they get the whole thing that she's been missing. Nobody's seen her. They talk to the dudes like, I got past that. I don't know what the fuck kind of happened. Before we see that his deputy is able to find the remains, and it's like, oh shit, what the fuck's kind of going on here? Brody, even at this point, is like, I would say that this was more of kind of a shark attack. And the coroner pretty much says that it's a shark attack as well. And the thing is, Brody's like, I want to close the beaches. However, this is around the 4th of July. I watched it at a pretty good time for that. But that becomes important because Amity is an island. And they run on pretty much the tourism and everything around the 4th. And I understand that with like stuff that goes on with tourist towns and everything, they will be like, we need this for the summer and everything. It's like, all right, because the mayor is being kind of stupid on this. He's like, oh, if we do this, it'll completely destroy the economy and everything. It's like, depending upon how much leeway you give people and how they plan their things and what you could actually do economically and business-wise as the mayor, you could have truly mitigated any negative effects on this. However, he pretty much forces the coroner to retract his shark thing and say that it was a boating accident kind of thing. And it's like, all right, man. We'll see how that comes back to bite them in the ass. So, of course, Brody has pretty much been outranked by this. And then we see that people are playing on the beach. And we see things kind of going on. And this is another kind of effective scene here, because we see a lot of stuff going on in the water. It's like, okay, so you can see what's kind of going on. We get misdirected that the dog, we even see that the dog disappears at a certain point, but we see that people are in the water, everybody's playing and everything, but then we see a kid go out, and his mother's like, you're turning into a prune, and he's like, 10 more minutes, and it's like, all right, fine, go ahead. We see Brody just being like, shit, he's not really comfortable with what's kind of going on. But then we see people kind of going out. We see him go out on his floaty thing, and it works because most of the things done in here would be what sharks would go after. Second one goes a little bit kind of nutty-doo-dah, nutty-day, like, all right, fine, we're going slasher territory, but we'll get to that. And then, of course, we see Alex get taken down, and we see the shark kind of flip it, which is pretty effective there because we don't see most of it because they've had issues and they were able to pretty much utilize the shark in the end time of this movie. But we see that everybody's freaking out. They're like, holy fucking shit. They all pull out. And then we see the mother distraught that her son has not come out. And seeing that his kind of floating apparatus washes up with blood on the beach. And, of course, we then see that she has placed a bounty on the shark for $3,000, which has caused chaos and mayhem on the island. Because everybody's like, we're going to go and defeat this shark and everything like that, and we're gonna get all this money and shit like that. It's like, holy fuckballs, Batman. And the thing is, then he's like, I want to close the beaches, and the mayor's like, yeah, we'll close it for 24 hours. It's like, and everybody's just like, oh, this will affect us negatively and everything. I'm like, 2 people are dead. If you had pretty much tried to handle this situation before, it would have just been 1 person dead, and you wouldn't have the negativity of a fucking kid dying in broad daylight on your beaches. Based on any kind of basic understanding of marketing alone. Okay, fine. It But the thing is, throughout the years, I've seen that, like, no, if you're going to inconvenience me at any kind of point, fuck you, I will take my chances. And then they will bitch, moan, and complain when they either get cracked in the ass with it or fucking are on death's door and then die because of it. It's like, oh, because you didn't think it would be your ass on the line. So, these people are a bunch of complete dip fucks who are just like, this will negatively affect it. It's like, it has been negatively affected, so why don't you try and take any kind of mitigating actions to actually fucking find this thing and stop it? If you can find that it's the same thing kind of going on. And the thing is, we have now gotten that the mother has put on this bounty. Everybody's kind of going out, trying to get these sharks and everything. We see that she takes Brody to task, slapping him in the face and being like, you should have closed the beaches. And it's like, I want to, like, he doesn't even bring it up because that's not going to bring her son back. But we do have the mayor there being like, oh, that's probably, like, on my ass, but I'm not getting chewed out. Ha ha ha. Fuck you, you fucking idiotic asshole. So we also see that Quint, like the eccentric local shark hunter dude, pretty much is like, listen, let me do this. I'll get it done. Give me 10 grand. I got this shit. You're like, what the fuck is up with this dude? And the thing is, you kind of learn more about him as the movie goes on. It's like, interesting. And he's kind of wacky and eccentric, but not in a kind of complete wacky and eccentric. He's not going complete Johnny Depp, Captain Jack Sparrow on this shit, like getting, or has like a peg leg that he's drinking shit out of or anything. He has valid reasons for being as kind of quirky as he is, and he knows what he's doing because he has evidently been going after sharks for a while and knows how to hunt them. It's like, okay. We also get Dreyfuss's character, Hooper, popping up to pretty much give the understanding of what's kind of going on, examining the girl's remains and being like, anybody that says this is a boating accident is a fucking idiot and an asshole. And being able to be like, these are bite marks, a shark fucking did this, because they only found a certain amount of remains of the girl, and it's like, fucking hell. And I love that he gets pretty much up in other people's faces. He does get a little bit into Brody's face towards the end as they're kind of like on the boat. But he's not completely going insane on it. It's just, he's got that kind of, this is his area of expertise, and people are like, oh shit. Let me see. So we get that people are attempting to do this. One dude takes his wife's fucking roast out, and the shark gets it and fucking rips the pier off before kind of getting close to his fucking ass, but only stopping like before then kind of getting off. It's like, shit. So we see other people like taking the waterways, some going dynamite and shit. We get them catching a tiger shark, and people are like, yeah, we did it, we got this. And Brody's and Hooper's like, we need to open this fucker up to see if it's actually the one that's did this. Is like, I'm not gonna let you do that and see that half-eaten boy there. It's like, okay, then let's just see if we got the goddamn fucking thing. But who knows, there could be a bigger fucking one out there. Alright, whatever. So they're then looking around at night because they don't believe this. Well, they do get Hooper does kind of pop up, gives them kind of like wine and stuff and says, let's go cut that fucker open. And they do, and they see that it is not the shark. There's no remains of any of the attack victims that we have seen thus far. It actually seems to be outside of the area because it has at least swallowed a Louisiana license plate. So, good luck with that. Especially with, like, bite radius and stuff like that of what they're kind of thinking. Let's see. So, they're pretty much kind of going out at night in Hooper's boat, which is like loaded to the gills, learning that he's pretty much from a rich family and that he's got most of this stuff, even though he does work for the government. But like, this is the shit that he goes into. He is explaining to Ellen, Brody's wife, about what he pretty much got a close encounter with a shark and has been interested in them ever since. And the funny thing is, after the shark stuff's going on, we see that like the kids are in the boat, but then Brody's going kind of hambo jambo and trying to like research sharks, and then his wife's just like, just let him be in there, it'll be fine. And then she looks into a picture of a shark being able to blast into a boat, and she's like, you get the fuck out of that boat right now and get back here. It's a little thing. It's just that kind of coloring of like, oh, you don't know all of the shit that's going on. It's like, and then she freaks the fuck out. It's like, ooh, shit, motherfucker. But we see that they do find this one dude, Gardner's boat. Hooper goes in, goes around, sees this giant shark tooth, sees like this dude's head in there, freaks the fuck out, had lost the tooth. He's trying to get everybody for like closing the beach for precautions, but he's just like, nope. Not doing it because he had lost the tooth, and he's like, whatever. So we get the 4th of July. People are a little bit hesitant to go into the water. However, they do at the urging of the mayor. And then we see someone kind of pop up, and it's like, oh god, it's a shark. However, it's just kids doing a hoax. While at the same time, we see that Brody's sons, well, at least his one son is kind of on a boat in the pond. He had talked the others into getting into that kind of pond thing, which is kind of a misnomer. It's still kind of connected to it. It's just kind of called the pond because the great white is able to get into that area, bashes into one boat, takes out and kills another one as we see the leg float to the bottom, and then buzzes past Brody's eldest son, Michael, and pretty much traumatizes his ass. He's in shock that he isn't injured, but it's like, that fucking thing got near me. Holy fucking shit. So he's kind of more in the hospital. We see that the mayor's like, my kids were on that beach. It's like, you fucking idiot. And of course, he relents and gets him to hire Quint. Let's see. So we do get pretty much tensions between Quint and Hooper, who Quint's like making his own fucking alcohol, and Brody's like, fucking shit, don't drink that shit. And of course Hooper's like, I got this. So we pretty much get like working class, rich class kind of against them, but it's not a big overblown kind of deal. And they do start to respect each other because they do have nice knowledge of what kind of goes on with sharks as they're kind of fucking with each other. He's bringing the more kind of technical expertise of like the shark cage, and of course, air canisters kind of going on. Of course, we see a lot of foreshadowing with that. It's not completely subtle, but it's not like, this will be used in the end game, boys. Like certain kind of other ways are kind of done. It's like, okay, we know that these are dangerous. We'll see how that kind of pops up later. So they pretty much go out in the Orca. They are trying to figure out how to get at it. Brody's pretty much the kind of like lowest on the totem because he doesn't know exactly what to kind of do. So he's pretty much chumming, figuring out what's kind of going on, learning about knots and all that. We see that he accidentally knocks some stuff over. Hooper's like, watch your fucking ass. Whereas Quint is actually being kind of nice he's trying to like utilize, the fishing pole. And he's like, hey, Chief, you never need to know what knot to untie. Just ask me. And that's cool because we think he's the kind of gruff, angry asshole that would just take people to task for kind of the smallest thing, but he's being nice. And we start seeing a camaraderie built between them as they're working on this boat in the final leg of the movie, since it's pretty much, let me see, it's like 124 minutes, just a little over 2 hours. And it doesn't overstay its welcome. Let's see. So they're doing the chum line. It appears on the boat. He's like, oh, fucking shit. Of course, estimating it's about like 25 feet and weighing like 3 tons. He's able to harpoon it and get a flotation barrel on it, but the shark is able to disappear with the barrel. The thing is, that's a pretty beefy thing to do. We get like eventually 3 of those fucking things at one point. So we see them kind of drinking and having like a grand old time before we pretty much get Quint's backstory. That he was on the USS Indianapolis and that it was sunk by a torpedo, and that it took a little while because they were on a secret mission to deliver the atomic weapons that were used against Japan. And talking about how sharks are done. And the thing is, what was leading up to this was them showing off their scars and everything. Brody really didn't have much, but Hooper had this one. Quint had this one. Of course, Hooper, they're both kind of drunk to this point, but Hooper's the most. He's like, here, this is where she like took out my heart and shit, before he starts getting into the whole thing. Then he's like, what about this scar on Quint? That was one of the tattoos he had, and that this was his experience with sharks, that they went in. And there's like 1,100 men went into the water, and like 300 or so came back out. Let me see. Sinking until 3.5 days later. 1,195 crewmen aboard went down with the ship with a few lifeboats, and many without life jackets. The remainder of the crew were set adrift. All suffer from lack of food and water, exposure to the elements, and shark attacks, while some killed themselves. Only 316 of the 890 men set adrift after the sinking survived. Which is fucking insane. And him talking about how sharks have lifeless eyes, doll's eyes, until they like bite and their eyes roll back. Some would just come in and test it. Some would take others. Him floating and then encountering one of his friends, but then seeing that he was bitten in half and then bobbing up and down before going down again. And it's like, fucking shit. And then, of course, they start getting into like drunken singing and everything before the shark starts bashing into the boat and like fucking some shit up. This boat gets fucked up. I mean, granted, it eventually sinks, but it takes some beatings and shit. Let's see here. And of course, it fucks the hull up. It disables the power as they kind of work through the night to kind of fix everything. They're trying to get in contact with the Coast Guard, but Quint's like, nah, man, we get pretty much Captain Ahab going on with this. With taking it out without outside assistance. He has to prove this to himself. So this is where they start getting more of the stuff. Them tying him onto the cleats of the boat, but the shark being able to drag their fucking asses, because this is like, big ass big boy. Oh Lord, he coming and he ain't happy and he ain't gonna stop at nothing. We get, of course, seawater in the engine that keeps fucking some shit up. But the cleats break off and the barrels stay attached to the shark. We see the machete put into the side of the boat, which just becomes important later on. So, of course, they're trying to get to shore to get the shark into shallower waters. But, of course, the engine fails because of all the shit that it's kind of gone through. So, they're pretty much into a shit-ass scenario of like, okay, how the fuck do we take this shark down? Because, yeah, we got an M1 Garand. That's important because it's going to be used later on. But that's a rifle. So it's not going to fire that fast. So Hooper's got this kind of stuff that he's like, listen, if I stab this thing, it might work, but I'm going to have to stab it in the mouth because I don't think it's going to go through its skin. And the thing is, he's going for like a certain surgical amount. However, if I was in this situation, I'd use every amount. Like, I'd take the whole fucking bottle and be like, I'll figure out what the correct dosage to kill this fucking thing is later. I'm going to just make sure that I try and do something to it. So they pretty much get him set up, put him into this shark cage, and it's nuts as it's bashing into it, making holes and like fucking him up. And you're like, oh God, that fucker's dead. He drops the thing. He's able to pretty much hide in the reefs as it's fucked up the apparatus for the thing. And like, oh shit, he's dead. Before the shark is able to essentially do shit that's kind of similar to like almost a croc at this point, where it like backs on the boat, and I'm like, it should be drowning at this point. And for any kind of reference, from what I've learned up until this point, if you have to get anywhere near a shark, punch its fucking gills. Take its ability to breathe out. That's a better thing than just like, I'm gonna stab it in the eye. No, it uses more kind of senses rather than complete sight. It's not like T-Rex level of like, I'm blind and I can only see movement. No, it looks at stuff, but like it's got other kind of things that it's able to utilize. Let's see. Yeah. So this is where it starts getting gnarly, and we see Quint die. And this is no, granted, it's gruesome for the time, but also if you're like, holy fucking shit, this dude survived the Indianapolis, and this thing is on the boat thrashing, and then he gets dragged down, and he gets the machete. He's trying to like dodge it, but then he gets chomped in half in the mouth, and he's trying to like bash it and everything before getting dragged down and killed. And we see Brody's like, what the fuck do I do? And we get like some of the most like, he's like, all right, he needs to eat this fucking thing. Pretty much gets the oxygen into its mouth, has the M1 Grand, and like, open wide, you son of a bitch, and then blows the fucker up as it's like bashing its way towards him, and he's on like the top of the, let me see. Yeah. And it blows the shark up. Seeing it drift down is like crazy. Of course, that's when Hooper kind of pops up like, you alright, man? As they pretty much like get two of the barrels and paddle back to shore. Just, it's like, fuck, man. Let me see here. Of course, you're going to need a bigger boat instead of we're going to need a bigger boat because of how big the fucking shark is. Let me see here. Not the shark. Smile, you son of a bitch. Yeah, and then it's just getting cut out. It just works. It's, even though it's not complete action hero movie, it's like, bring it. And then just works very well to be like, keep that in mind. It just was a nice kind of buildup of like, okay, we understand how dangerous these things are because Hooper's like, watch this shit. And it's like, it's there. You utilize it in the end. It's just a very well crafted and well executed movie of understanding that these aren't just plot devices kind of going through and carrying out everything that's kind of going on. These are characters that are making decisions. However, they are stupid decisions as it kind of heats up. Brody just wants to take out the shark. However, it's become a point of honor for Quint, and it of course leads to his demise. As well as the demise of his ship as it sinks down, and Brody and him have to be like, Jesus, like, getting back in. It's like, well, we don't have the shark to show everybody, but fuck that thing. Though, I would also, like, they had to have worked to get a little bit fast to get to shore, because that shark would then have other sharks, because it's dead and it's streaming blood and everything. Is like, feeding time. So I'd be like, I want to get out of this place as fast as possible. And just seeing Brody trying to work with what's kind of going on, and it's funny of them kind of saying, hey, yeah, we're different, we're new to the island, but how long does it take to be an islander? You never are. It's like, yeah, because they're assholes like that. It's like, come on, man. You're living here. And seeing him try to balance and be that chief to help the people, and then the elected officials not doing it. Even the townspeople not acquiescing. It's like, all right, fine, then you deal with the consequences. But of course, no, Brody has to deal with the consequences as the mother comes and lays it on his ass. I'm like, yeah, he should be able to do more because he is doing the correct things throughout this movie. He is doing what someone who is supposed to protect the community is supposed to do. He's not going overboard. He was like, we need to close the beaches. Yeah, but that's going to economically affect us. It's like, well, if you have people dying and not wanting to come to the beach, guess what? I don't have to close the beach, and you don't have to worry about ever having a 4th of July economic boom ever again. Because you're on an island. So you better get used to fish. A lot better than this. You dumb motherfuckers. And the thing is, it's like, you'll come to me. Because, somebody is doing something that they're fine with. They're like, oh, these people are doing this. Their room is close to my son's room, and tantalizing them and corrupting them with perversions and shit. It's like, you're a fucking idiot. You don't care about, like, people getting killed by this animal that is probably my job to kind of deal with. But that is what you want me to deal with. Whatever. It's just like, it's timeless. Like, you just, even though it's set in like the 1970s, you still see what can be going on today, because that's just how it is written, how it's done, and how it's executed. You're like, yeah, you could essentially just like, I mean, if you tried to update it, you could do the exact same thing and it still would work. Now, the thing is, they attempted to do that with sequels. It's like, you don't understand why this worked, as we'll get into in the next one. But I would definitely recommend this. It's not a gory one considered by today's standards, but if you're not into gore and like squeamish on certain things, that's where I would be like, watch out for that. But the characters, their motivations, why they are doing the things that they're doing, and how it kind of affects them and eventually leads to their endpoints is amazing to see. Like, I can tell you about this movie and what goes on in the story, but seeing it executed so well, of seeing how the shark is revealed and how it's utilized and how it works, learning about how they had such problems with that, the music, how it is effectively brought in, how we zoom in close on Brody's face as everything starts going to shit with Alex's death at the shark's hands. Him getting zoomed in as he's able to take down this great white. John Williams' score of getting everything kind of together. It's the complete movie package. And that's why I would recommend it to anyone and everyone, to be like, this is what you do when you have a movie. Like, it might not be my favorite, but if you're like, I need you to pick one example of like a movie that understands what a movie needs to be and what it needs to do, this is that movie for it. And that's probably why people have tried to copy it and do it so much over the years, because of what it is able to accomplish. And its runtime, it's 124 minutes, 2 hours and 4 minutes. It does not overstay its welcome whatsoever. It has great pacing. Just, it ebbs and flows. We get to the understanding, we get to the crescendo of the battle scenes at the end of them dealing with the shark. And we see the little bits and pieces. We get the attacks here, boom, boom, and then we have to deal with the aftermath of that. Boom, and then boom, and it's like, now we've built to it. Now it is not just the attacks. We must actually go on the offensive and see how we can do this and what goes on with that. Yeah, I'm really glad that I see this, watch this movie throughout the years, but also sitting down and watch it, because that is a very different experience. If there's any kind of cult movie that you have had on at certain points, and you're like, for the most part, I've seen it, do yourself a favor, block out some time, and actually sit down and try and watch it in one go. Maybe with some breaks here or there for bathrooms or snacks or whatnot, but sitting down and actually getting all of it truly makes a difference. And that's what I've definitely been seeing from these last couple of reviews that I've been doing, starting in like Christmas, Halloween, just sitting down and looking at those movies and understanding what the whole package kind of entails. So those are my opinions on the movie. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.